All right. So full disclosure, Nino's looking at what I'm up to on the 280 character app. On Fridays, I do high school football. And so on social media, what we do as a part of our on-air team, we shoot the photos of everything. And hey, we're calling a game, airtime here. And Nikki was hanging out, and Nikki is happily married to a former tight end of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So yeah, she is a mother, and she is one of the best in the business. She can handle pretty much anything. But I will definitely tell the married Nikki Noto Palmer that Nino Torres has an absolute crush on her next time I see her.
All right.
Wow. Okay. Didn't know we were going that direction. Okay. Berhalter, let me ask you this. Would it not mean that, and I had this discussion with Dylan Butler yesterday when Dylan came on, and I would think that the assistants that you hire, if you are Berhalter, are going to be just as important, if not more important, than your own hire, knowing that you're going to be in charge of both. Because if you're going to be in charge of the first team, if you're going to be in charge of the second team, if you're going to be in charge of the academy and the philosophy and all of these different things, that unless you figured out how to clone yourself at Sloan Kettering, that there's no way that you can be in 4 places at once. And that these assistants that you bring in are going to have to know what you want and be in charge more than they might have been otherwise because of you having all of these different responsibilities.
Otherwise, it's not going to work. And look, I'm not discrediting Greg by any means, but being a national team head coach is very different to being a club head coach. And that was his last gig for a long time. So it is going to take some adjusting. And like you said, it's key. It's crucial. It's fundamental for him to have a good supporting cast in that staff that he's going to have to delegate to. Otherwise, he's just biting more than he can chew, and he could end up coming back to, making him choke, if you will. So it's honestly if he doesn't set himself up to succeed with a very good staff, someone that he can rely on for all the things that you just mentioned. And again, it could be for various situations. Maybe he has someone that is better at developing players. Maybe he has somebody that's going to do things that will give him space to do the scouting and the searching and the coaching and the soccer module, which we know is so important for Greg, style of play. Everything is going to come up through the academy and all the way to the first team. So there's a lot of components that, yes, Greg cannot do it alone. And I'm sure that he has not just the networking, but a lot of pull to bring in some quality staff members. But yes, I think you're absolutely right. Who he surrounds himself with would essentially dictate how good he does and how well and how quick he does it in Chicago.
Who should he surround himself with? Any ideas?
I do not.
What would somebody like Lucci be? Would Lucci be an idea there?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking guys like Lucci. I was thinking guys like Dos Santos. But do those guys want to go not backwards, because Dos Santos is right now an assistant? But do you want to do that?
Oh, check your microphone. You muted. It's like the audio died. I don't know what happened. You were in the middle of a sentence and the audio died.
Is it still down?
Oh, there it is. So don't move from that spot. Whatever you did, that fixed it.
That's very weird.
Okay. So
that's very odd.
All right. So you're talking about Lucci.
Yeah, I was saying that I don't know if Lucci specifically wants to go backwards, because he's coming from an awful situation, being exposed, and he has egg in his face after what happened in San Jose. I could see him wanting a job where he's going to be able to redeem himself in some way. Yeah. So yes, there are guys that we could mention, but do they want to go backwards and be part of a staff? I don't know. I'm pretty sure he has his own guys already ready to go, guys that have helped him at the U.S. level, guys that he's worked with in the past. I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. Guy like, I don't know, Ezra Henderson or something. I mean, he's going to have a lot of options there, but he's definitely going to need a big team to, again, try to fix a club that has been problematic not because of the coaching, but because of the structure and the organization problems that, I mean, we can go back 10 years of issues with Chicago. So it's not as simple as just a head coach is going to come and fix it.
All right, Austin. They finally, Rodolfo Borrell finally pulled the trigger on Josh Wolf, but he did it with a match to go in the season when you know you're not going into the playoffs anyway. And this has been a point that I've been asking all of our experts this week. Look, if you're, and it might just be because I'm being turning into a nicer old man as I, turn into when I'm 170 years old as I am now, I just must be nicer than I was in the past. If you're not making the playoffs and nothing's going to change and your last match is at home, why are you sending Josh Wolf away with one match left in the season? And just say that you're not going to renew his contract. Thank Josh for his time. Let him have the home match next Saturday. Let him get his lap with his family. Why not do that unless you think that you've really got to jump on somebody as the new head coach? I mean, why let somebody go knowing you're not going to renew them with a match to go and that last match is at home? It struck me as odd.
I call it smoke and mirrors. You're trying to send a message. You're trying to seem like you were not happy with the situation, and now you are pulling the trigger. But I agree with you. I think it's the wrong decision. I think that there is no reason why you would do this right now, because you're not going to hire a guy tomorrow. You're not going to hire a guy next week. You're probably not going to hire a guy next month. Because you're going to need to follow a protocol if you want to get the right guy, to interview X amount of candidates, see what you want to get out of them. But I think this all goes back to, similar to Chicago, the problems in Austin have been up top as well. There's been a ton of issues with the recruiting and the scouting and the sporting director and all kinds of things that, I'm not, I wouldn't put it past Rodolfo to want to coach this team, himself moving forward. I mean, it's that sort of situation that Austin is in, and that's why I think that the issues with Austin are specifically beyond the coaching staff. So, to your question, the only logical explanation is that you want to make a statement and send a message that you were not happy, you wanted to get him off, but it makes no difference. It makes no changes, and I don't think they're going to hire anybody within the next month.
Well, unless it's somebody that you really want to jump on that might be a part of the old city football group, where is it Dome Torrent? Is it Patrick Vieira? Is it somebody with ties to CFG that you might have known in the past that wants to come back and be a part of everything? That's the only thing I can figure, is that you're trying to jump the line and hire somebody that you think would want to jump and be a part of things that you can announce literally like either the last day of the regular season as a part of the process. Hey, it's our last home match and here's our new head coach, or do it like the day after the regular season when you know you're not making something in there. It's like there's a wire, I think, that isn't quite connecting here. And I don't know if you're trying to jump the queue on somebody, or if you're going to make an announcement, or you just wanted to be, you wanted to just kick the guy out. I don't know which one of those options is the option here.
No, you just wanted to get him out. And again, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's you portraying that you were doing your job and that you had an expectation and a level. If you wanted to fire him and you were thinking about moving on, you should have done it halfway through the season. You should have done it when there were issues with Fagundes and there were issues with DeRuzzi and all of these things that came up. You had a way out. You had a way to get Wolf out. And look, me and you have talked about it. As much as we appreciate and can give all the credit to a guy like Wolf because of his IQ and how prepared he is and the soccer he provided within the first few seasons, you can see that it was time to go. Yeah. And things are starting to fall apart. So if you're going to pull the plug, you should have done it a lot sooner. And look, media members right now, we're taking so much heat when it comes to this sort of thing because I don't know if you've heard, but in South America, Ricardo Gareca basically told the media that we cannot talk to him about soccer because we are not coaches and we don't deserve to be in his presence. And
Yeah.
don't ask me, don't try to debate with me because I'm a coach and you're not. And I just think that's ridiculous. But regardless of, we do gotta give them the respect. And that's why I'm not going to sit here and say that I know more than any coach in MLS, including a guy like Wolf. But you saw things coming from the outside in. It seemed like there was a time for a change, and it should have happened a lot sooner than one game before the season ended.
There's one match in the Western Conference this weekend to get everybody to 33 before decision day happens. Next weekend, we get to watch what's going to happen involving LA and Vancouver. LAFC gets to play match 33. They need it to separate themselves from Seattle and from Salt Lake in the 3 and the 4, so they can at least have a puncher's chance on decision day going up against LAG. With this one match to go, or two, if you're talking about LA and Vancouver, we knew it was going to be a street fight trying to figure out positioning, and it hasn't disappointed even with this match in hand that's going to be played this weekend. Seattle's a part of that top 4. You just don't know where you're going to be.
Yeah, it was interesting the way things played out. Seattle surprised me. Timbers disappointed me. Things played out the way they did. Vancouver's had issues of their own. LAFC picked it up there at the end. So, there was a lot of fluctuation when it came to the inertia that teams had at some point of the season. And this is a big one. I mean, and the funny part about this one is that both Vancouver and LAFC have a ton of guys missing because of the FIFA window, right? And I would say that LAFC still has the upper hand because they do have the likes of Boguts and they do guys of Olivier Giroud, and they have a Tuesta and they have Tillman and they have all of these guys that are still pretty good, if you ask me. In the other hand, Vancouver is missing 6 guys that are not just key, but the next guy up has a big drop-off. So no Fafa Picot, no Robbie Gold, no Vite, no Ali. I mean, there's a lot of players here that are not going to be part of that team. Cubas, who's so important for that midfield. So I think that Vancouver is in a bad position, and I think they're going to end up losing this game, regardless of who LAFC puts on the field. They're going to play with a 3-man back line. They're going to be very meticulous about how they're going to approach this game, because they're also not going to open up against Vancouver and allow a goal to go in and then allow Vancouver to just kind of sit back and hold. So LAFC is going to work their magic. They're going to get this game. And unfortunately, when it comes to the roster depth and roster talent, LAFC just has more of it. So are they going to miss Buanga? Sure. Oliveira? Absolutely. La Joya, Martinez, that's coming from a couple of great games? 100%. But the players that LAFC has are just going to be able to come through. And I think Chirundle did a good job at rotating his squads a couple of times. I think he's doing a good job at closing the season the right way. So LAFC is going to be able to take down one. And I don't know if you want to talk about the Columbus and New England, but that's another game that it's going to be interesting because Kuch is going to be with Columbia. There's a lot of other guys that are part of that international call-ups, including a guy like Schulte. We know what happened last time against the Sounders when he wasn't there. So how does that play out? That's going to be an interesting one. But I do think Columbus ends up holding on to that game with a draw, and just at least add some points to their side. Going back to the standings in general, I think that Vancouver is going to have to play themselves into this thing. I think that Sounders Timbers game, we'll talk about that probably next week, but that's gonna be a fun decision day for the Western Conference. But credit to a team like the Sounders that was able to put it together and grind out some points, some performances. That win in Colorado was very good. Paul Rockcroft has become a rock star. He's been unreal, unbelievable. That Colorado game was fantastic. He was persistent. He was defiant. He couldn't be held. He puts and creates at least 4 or 5 opportunities that Seattle can't put away. So that's going to be Seattle's Achilles heel. Can they kill games? Can they finish them off? Can they really get the goals that they're creating? Because Jordan Morris is in a little bit of a funk. You saw it in this one where he has and it was a difficult one. It was a difficult one. He gets a pass a little bit later than I think he expected it, a little bit quicker than I think he expected it, and he puts a shot in front of goal that doesn't go his way. He's banging the ground. He's frustrated because he wanted that goal. So we'll see. We'll see how Seattle can manage that when it comes to the first round of the playoffs.
Okay, so, 2 more questions, and one of them has to do with Tacoma Defiance because we now know the playoff matchups in Next Pro. Obed Vargas named for the 22 under 22. What's it been like to see Obed Vargas continue to grow and evolve to where he is, even if we take him out of this list that was put forth by Major League Soccer? What's it been like for you to see Obed Vargas grow to where he is as a part of the impact there in Seattle?
It's been a privilege, and it's been a learning experience for me, just watching a player come up through the system and provide and grow in a way that he's not just a starter. He is a high contributor. I think that he's way too low on that list. I cannot believe, and I don't have the list in front of me, but I can't believe that a guy like McGlynn is on top of him, a guy like Redondo. Look, and I understand that the talent and the potential is the reason probably why they're above him. And again, McGlynn is not a guy that I would put above Ovid Vargas. But when it comes to contributions and what you actually did throughout the season, other than Diego Luna, there isn't many guys that at his age and in that list have done what Obed has done. And Obed has done it at center midfield. He's done it out wide on the wing. He defends, he pushes, he presses, he creates opportunities. I was talking to another player who's, and I'm not going to say his name, but he says he reminds him a lot of Nicolas Lodero. And it's kind of funny that comparison was made because he does have a lot of that. I'm going to tear the field. I'm going to get everywhere. I'm going to get forward. I'm going to defend. I'm going to do everything possible. He has the creativity. He has the vision and the technical ability to put balls through. So it's been a surreal experience because from his family circle, his dad, who's very involved with his career, with his development, who coached him at a young age, and watching how excited he's been, not only that he's as high as he is in that list and the fact that he's a undeniable starter for Seattle, but the call-up to Mexico's senior team was big, right? I mean, that's something that he's been searching for. He made the switch of federations from the U.S. to Mexico. That has played dividends, and now he gets a call-up, and he's going to be working under Aguirre and another Mexican legend in the defender from Barcelona, Marquez. Jesus. So it's definitely an experience that is going to help him even more. So the 2 conclusions, I think in my opinion, he should be at least third in that 22 under 22 list, in my opinion. And like I said, the only other player that I would vote for young player is Diego Luna. But if Obed gets this team going against Portland, is a contributor, is someone that is influential, and then in the first round of the playoffs he does it, I'm definitely voting for Obed, regardless of whether anybody else does or not.
He's at 7. Kromoski is 6. Redondo is 5. Brian Gutierrez is 4. McGlynn is 3. Luna is 2. Diego Gomez from Messi and Friends is number 1.
Absolutely. Give me, look, and I understand Diego Gomez because he also has like 1,400 minutes played, to be quite honest. But the talent, what he's done, the impact, I'll let you slide Diego Gomez. I'll let you slide. And then Diego Luna. And then you have to put Obed, in my opinion. So I know that there isn't a clear definition of what we're looking for when it comes to the U22 list, but I'm going to look for impactful players. I'm going to look for the youngest player in the list, if I'm not mistaken, that's doing more than half of these players in this list. So I am just very high on Obed Vargas. I think that he's going to be gone within the next year. After Club World Cup, I think he's going to have a huge expose, a huge, you know,
And that's
spotlight
an
that
unveil.
that he could just show his talent, and from there on, I think the team is going to move on and allow him to go to Europe and probably have a very good career.
Yeah, Kevin Sullivan is 18 on the list for 3 matches and 10 minutes for Philadelphia Union at the age of 15. So that's
There you go. Perfect.
yeah. All right. So last question is about Tacoma Defiance. Defiance are in the playoffs in MLS Next Pro. The matchups are next weekend, 10 days from now. And it's 10 o'clock where at Starfire, Ventura County goes to take on Tacoma Defiance. And they had to wait to figure out who their opponent was because they're the 4 seed. I thought it was going to be crazier in the East than it was in the West, but North Texas picked up the Whitecaps. So it's 1 versus 7. St. Louis City, SC2, picked the 5 in LAFC2. Then it was the Town, which used to be Los Dos, and they get Dynamo Dos, and then it's 4 and 6. So 1v7, 2v5, 3v8, and 4v6. When it comes to Tacoma specifically, for someone who has not seen Tacoma this year, who is someone in the Niko spot shadow? It's like, oh, here's who I should watch when it comes to Tacoma Defiance that should be making an impact in the next year or so at the parent club.
Ooh, that is a tough one because there are a lot of good players. I like Chris Aquino. Chris Aquino is a guy that has come up and has done some wonderful things throughout the season. I think he's the next player that's going to get a chance up when he comes to the first team. He's a creative midfielder that has a lot of range, that can do a lot of things. So he's an interesting one. I think Gomez is a guy that's been very productive for this team as well. But I think the defensive components back there, that's what really gives this Tacoma Defiance a lot of leverage to do what they do. And I think that we should focus a little bit on that. I mean, they're coming in from some positive results throughout the season, and one of the things that they've been able to do is that ability to just kind of hold teams back and be able to be very disciplined in the backside. So Stuart Hawkins is a guy that's been working with this team. He's a guy that signed to the first team. He's very young right now. He's the U20s for the U.S. men's national team. So when you have those sort of components there, I think those are some of the guys that I think are gonna end up being important. De Rosario is a guy with a lot of experience that can definitely provide some offensive, not just goals, but holding the ball, his hold-up play, his link-up play. So I think that there's some of the guys that have been more visually interesting to me.
And that's why we bring you in to talk about these kinds of things. 10 o'clock next Sunday, it is Tacoma Defiance hosting Ventura County as MLS Next Pro's opening round starts. Hit the promo because I know you got to go. You're about a half hour out from your next thing.
Yes, I am. We are getting ready to embark on the U22 list as well at Soccer Bar, obviously all in Spanish. We're going to be providing our candidates for end of the year awards in MLS. We're all going to give 2 candidates each for each one of those awards. We're going to really get into some outside component things because we only have 2 games to talk about in MLS. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to get into some U.S. men's national team talk and the 2 friendlies against Panama and Mexico. Who are the players that we're kind of looking for? What are the players that might shine, might be interesting now in the Pochettino era? So go ahead and check that out. Impulso Sports. We do have right now Brian Smetzer talking about the winning Colorado, the end of the season, the difficulties that maybe having a team that's on a row and with some really good inertia to be stopped for a long time, and how to keep them going. He said that there's going to be a scrimmage that's going to be prepared and try to get the team going, but he said it's not the same. It's not the same to just being competitive play. So go ahead and check that out at Pulso Sports. That's a funny one too because it ended abruptly because a fire alarm went off at the building, and we had to kind of go away on that end. But it definitely interesting go ahead and check that out at Postal Sports.
All right, get out of here. Go get your coffee. Go cool off, and we will see you next week, my friend. As always, I love when we can catch up on our Thursdays, where it's Thursdays with Niko at El Rolo and W.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. This is the one spot that I feel like I need to be always. Oh, and by the way, man, I got too greedy in Vegas, man, and I did try to do too many parlays. I did good in a couple of games, the Orlando game and the Columbus game, both the scorers and the goals. Okay. But then I got too greedy with some parlays, man, and Atlanta ended up messing me up. I said they were going to draw, and it was this close to a draw. I couldn't believe it, man, but it's all right. We still came up. We came up in the positive, so it was a good time in Vegas.
Yes, positives are always good. We'll see you next week, my friend.
All right, buddy. Take care.